What's up YouTube, Born in Asphodel Meadow here, and I know it's been like an eon since I've made a video. I'm sorry, I've been tied up with stuff, school, etc, etc. And I was working on this comic strip thing, like a non-stamp collector style cartoon. It's like 90% done, I just have to record the voice for it. But I assure you I will make up for it in terms of controversy of the opinions that I will now share. I'm the only person I've ever met who shares this opinion, and I've gotten a few people to admit that it is a viable opinion, but most people reject it adamantly, which is why I feel like sharing it on the interwebs. Now, please read the description before you read this, because I don't want to sound like a total ass. I'm not. I'm only very, very, very much an ass, but not totally. But this is my opinion, and I assure you I stand by it 100%. Anyone who wants to debate this opinion with me, feel free to. I know this is definitely going to arouse some controversy. So I guess I'll say it then. I don't think AIDS should be cured. I think we should abort all research on curing AIDS. Several reasons why, of course. Gotta have some reasons for this kind of stuff. One, it guzzles money. Like, Bill Gates donated something to the tune of like $40 billion to curing AIDS. You can buy a country for that much. And yet we're curing this one disease that's taken so much effort, right? Like billions and billions and billions of dollars. And yet we've gotten essentially nowhere with it. It's nowhere towards curing the disease. Some slight preventative measures that are pretty much replaceable by condoms. But nowhere else with it. So there's the reason number one. By far my weakest reason, so I shouldn't have said it first. But there we go. Second reason is that AIDS is almost like a necessary evil, in my opinion. I'll start with the developed world, okay? I remember reading a statistic once, like 1 in every 4 sexually active teenagers has an STD. And I don't know what the percentage is of those who have AIDS, but it's probably a number worthy of some trepidation. But anyway, I don't think we should cure AIDS, because the second we cure AIDS, I think that everyone's just going to have like a field day like they did in the 60s when birth control was invented. Everyone's going to be like, oh sweet, no more AIDS, now we can have more sex without worrying about the consequences. And we all know there are very serious consequences even though AIDS has been cured. I'm not saying, I shouldn't have said everyone's going to be like that, there will still be the cautious. But some of the danger will be removed, and with it, the caution that comes along with it. And I don't think this is really contestable. I do think that if we cured AIDS, there would be much more teen pregnancy. We would see a surge in teen pregnancy. We would be a surge in the other STDs that would make up for it. And it would generally not be a good time. Now, in the undeveloped world, it would be a much more serious matter. Let me start by saying that the average family size in the developed world is somewhere around 10 children, which is ridiculous. There's no way the world can sustain the human race if every couple had 10 children. It's ridiculous. This shouldn't even be legal. Obviously the governments don't enforce it because it's good for their economy having a bigger workforce and a bigger military, which is where a lot of these kids probably go. And I'm sure it's part of the culture there too, part of the religion there, to have lots of kids, because it makes sense. With so many kids dying, you need large families to make sure that, you know, the 2 that'll die from crib death or infant death syndrome or during birth, and then the 2 that'll die before they're 10 because they're shot or something, and then the 2 that'll die before they're 20 because of starvation or disease or something, right? You've got to have large families to keep the population going. But one of the main hindrances on the population there is AIDS. And if we take AIDS out of the equation, people are going to start living longer, but they're not going to start having less kids. That's the problem. There would be an enormous explosion of birth because there would be no more restrictions on sex, like AIDS. There would be no more caution. There would be no more reason to hinder oneself when having children. There would be a ridiculous population explosion, and they, I'm sorry to say, are the hungry mouths to feed of the planet, and there are enough of them as it is. With the global food shortage as it is, there's no way we can take a hit like that. I think that AIDS, aside from deliberate population control on the part of the governments, AIDS is possibly the most effective way of controlling the population there. There, I said it, I'm an ass. That's how I stand. And you know what? If you have AIDS or know someone who has AIDS, I'm sure you aren't laughing at this. And I'm not laughing either. AIDS is serious. Maybe you don't deserve to have AIDS. Maybe you were born with it, which is obviously unfortunate, but chance is chance, and everyone has to live with the cards they're dealt. And if we cured AIDS, the world would become a much worse place than it is, in my opinion. Anyway, that is all I have to say on the subject. I am Born in Asphodel Meadow. Peace, and I will see you guys later.